The way most Christians share their story actually makes people feel less interested in Jesus. But if you knew how to tell it with power, your story could change lives. And that is exactly what we're going to do today. The number one way to inspire change in someone's life is by sharing your story. Imagine if your story was the one in a million that someone desperately needs to hear. I'm Devin Schubert, and I'm on a mission to share 1 million stories across social media. And I want your story. It's time to take your story to the stage. And now, here's one of those stories. The way most Christians share their story actually makes people less interested in Jesus. All right, so let's think about it. We've got the most powerful story on earth, a story of hope, a story of freedom and transformation. But when we open our mouth, what actually comes out? Stuff like, I was lost, but now I'm found. Or my favorite is, I grew up in church. And people just look at us like, okay, what does that even mean? You see, your story isn't the problem, but it's actually the way that you're telling it that is. So, if you could learn how to tell it right, your testimony can go from putting people to sleep to waking them up to the complete power of God. And I know what it feels like to get it wrong. I'll never forget the moment when I was in high school. A friend of mine, he was telling me about how he was hurting, and he asked me a big question. He said, "Why am I here? Does life even matter?" And you know it. I could feel it. I felt that nudge from the Holy Spirit. This is your chance. This is your chance to share the hope that I gave you. And so, man, did I ever. I gave him my testimony. And this is close to what I said. When I was in high school, I was lost. I felt empty, and then I went to this camp and I accepted Jesus. And now I have purpose. Yeah, I leaned back and I waited for something to happen. And I waited. And he blinked and he stirred his coffee. Then he said, "Well, that's cool. Well, you going to the game on Saturday?" And immediately I knew that the moment was gone. You know the feeling. Have you ever felt like you blew it when you shared a story that could have been so transformational? If so, I want you to type "I've been there" in the comments below. Because I'm telling you, I walked away crushed, knowing that somebody's life could have been transformed if I just knew how to tell my story. It wasn't God's fault. It definitely wasn't the gospel's fault. It was solely, wholly on the way that I told it. And so Paul actually gives us a model in Acts 26. It's simple. It's so simple that even you can remember it every story that you have. There's 3 parts to it: before, encounter, after. Before, encounter, after. So let's talk about number 1. Number 1 is the before. We want to make sure that we be real and not be religious. And so saying the words like, I was a sinner, I was lost, those words don't land with people. They don't recognize it or know what it means. And so I want you to help show people what it felt like. So something more like this: Friday night, I was scrolling through my phone. I was feeling invisible. I didn't know what to do. Or another one is, I was sitting at work and I was looking through my inbox and I was just waiting for that promotion to come in, but I never saw the email. That thought in your head whispering, "You're worthless." Man, that must be hard. And see, that is what connects. When people can see themselves inside of your struggle that you're having, that you had, because it's the before. And so my question for you right now, as the viewers and the listeners, if you had to put one word to your before, what would it be? Would it be lonely? Would it be angry? Would it be tired? And so I want you to drop it in the comments below, because I want to be able to see what some of your befores are all about. Key number 2 is the encounter. The encounter. We want to make our encounter an event, not a boring thing that happened. Most people rush into the encounter. They rush it because they say things like, well, I heard the gospel and it gave my life to Jesus. Your encounter was not a footnote that belongs at the bottom of a storybook. It was a turning point, a transformational moment in your life. And so treat it like that. For me, it was hearing God chose you before the foundations of the world. That truth cut me to the core. And for the first time, I realized that my worth wasn't for debate. I sat there and I whispered to myself, God, I need you. And that's when the shift happened. So, what about you? Was your encounter a single moment or was it a slow process that happened? Let me know in the comments below kind of how your encounter was. Lastly, number 3, the after. We want to show the fruit, not perfection. So many people get this wrong. They say that things were perfect after they came to know the Lord, after their encounter. It's never true. Never true, and you're living a life of a lie, and you're telling it. So don't say, now I'm happy all the time, because ultimately, nobody's going to believe that because nobody is. Instead, suggest saying something like this. Man, dude, I still have insecurity once in a while. But instead of continually going down that downward spiral, man, I give it to God because I know my worth doesn't rise and fall on people's opinions or my emotions. It's because now I'm grounded in Him, who He said that I am. Now that's believable. That's true transformation that somebody would want in their lives. So, if I could go back to that time when I was sitting at the table with Him, this would be a little more of what I would say of my story. Man, I know what it's like to feel invisible. And in middle school, I had the whole world all around me, but I depended on who I sat with at lunch to give me that name, to give me that identity, to tell me who I was and how to feel. One weekend, I wasn't invited to a party, and I laid in my bed and I just scrolled for hours, feeling worthless, wishing that somebody would notice me. And then I heard someone say this, Devin, your worth isn't based on who likes you. It was already settled before God created you in your mother's womb, before you were even born. And let me tell you, man, and that broke me. I realized that I didn't have to perform anymore. I could finally believe. And so, do I still feel insecure sometimes? Yeah. But now I know who holds my worth. And trust me, when you know who holds your worth and who gave it to you, everything changes. Do you notice the difference in those two stories? So let me ask you, how would your story hit differently if you told it like that? And so here's my challenge to you. I want you to take 15 minutes this week. I want you to write your story using the frameworks that I gave you today: the before, the encounter, and the after. And then I want to challenge you to share one sentence from your before in the comments right now. That's the first step to telling your story with real power. And if you're listening or watching this and you realize that you're still in the before part of your story, this could be your turning point. And so I want you to be able to say this with me: Jesus, I admit I've been trying to do life on my own, and I don't want to anymore. Forgive me for the things that I have chosen to do. Come into my life, make me new, and be the Lord of my story. And let me tell you, my friend, if you said that, your life is transformed. You have the opportunity to write a new story that starts today. And I want you to drop in the comments so we can celebrate, reach out, and be able to have a conversation. And listen, if this message overall has stirred you and you know that your story is meant for more than just sitting around in your living room or a small group, I want to invite you to this Stories to Stages. You see, it's here where I help people just like you to take your story and learn how to share it with confidence, whether it be online or on podcasts or even on some real stages. Because the story that was given to you is not meant to just sit in silence. It was given to you to change lives. But the problem is too many people are taking it to the grave with them. And too many people are telling terrible stories and lives aren't being transformed. And so I want to invite you, if you're ready, click in the links in the comment below or go to www.storiestostages.com and join me in the Stories to Stages movement, where I'm on a mission to help 1 million people share their stories across media. I can't do this alone. And if you haven't heard my story, I'll put that in the links below because it's going to blow your mind. Most of all, let's get your story heard today.